Hello, welcome to CTV North Suburbs' first annual Show Us Your Nonprofit. My name is Dana Healy, and I'm the Executive Director here at CTV North Suburbs. We are really excited about tonight. We have 20 different nonprofits that will be telling us about themselves, their mission, and how they impact your community. We hope you reach out to them if you like the work that they are doing. CTV North Suburbs is a nonprofit itself. We have recently unveiled our new mission. We produce community-focused digital media for the purpose of educating and engaging our citizens. We take this job very seriously. This show is an example of valuable content we will be bringing you. If you're interested in learning more about CTV's new mission, please join us for a town hall forum on December 5th at 6:30 p.m. We'll be answering all of our community members' questions. A special thank you to Lunds and Byerly's here in Roseville for providing the fabulous spread in the lobby. Also a shout out to our viewers at home who are watching us on cable as well as on our live webcast at www.ctvnorthsuburbs.org. Let's jump right into it.
I'm here with Mavon Prokop.
Yes.
And you're with the Fishing for Fun Forum, or Fishing for Fun, okay?
Yes.
Inaugural interviewee here on Show Us Your Nonprofit. And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, Fishing for Fun. Tell us a little bit about that organization.
Okay. We've been in operation for 4 years.
Okay.
And our sole purpose is to provide free fishing and boating trips on Lake Johanna during the summer months.
Okay.
Our guests include seniors, care centers, veterans, fishing camp youth, church groups. Basically, anybody can sign up for one of our trips by simply going to our website after April 1st, click on Schedule a Trip, and sign up.
So how do you do the fishing licensing and that kind of thing?
Fishing licensing, if they are part of a care center, they sign a form from the DNR, and then they don't need a fishing license. But all of our crew, captains and mates, they have to have a fishing license, and if a care center staff fish, they have to have a license.
And how did it get started?
How did it get started? Julie Overby-Leedy and myself co-founded this group, and it was based off of similar groups, and that's how we got started.
So some of the folks who has the most fun out there? What kind of experience? I suppose it depends on the age level and abilities.
Actually, you know, we have about 50 to 60 volunteers.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a bunch.
It is. And we have as much fun on these trips as our guests.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's spending a little bit of time out on a beautiful lake, Lake Johanna in Arden Hills, on a nice, beautiful summer day.
Okay.
And we're with some wonderful people, and it's very rewarding.
What's a typical reaction for the folks out there? Well, maybe they haven't fished in who knows how long.
Let me give you two of my favorite stories.
Sure.
One is our very first trip. We had an 80-year-old woman. She got on the boat, sat down, she looked around, and she said, "I'm 80 years old, and I've lived in Minnesota all my life." And we said, "Great." And then she said, "I've never been on a boat." And we were so thrilled, and she just had tears in her eyes the whole trip. Wow. And then we took out one of our trips, a 102-year-old woman, and she had not been on a boat for 80 years. And she brought in a harmonica, and she played for all of our guests. There's great stories. The volunteers just have an awesome time, and so do our guests.
And then how did you corral that many volunteers or get them organized?
Well, okay. I should probably tell you a little bit about the logistics of our trips.
Sure.
And that is, we take out anywhere from 70 to 80 trips per summer.
That's a ton.
And we go out Monday through Friday. And we typically have fishing trips in the morning, boating trips in the afternoon, or morning, either one. And every trip has a captain, which is someone who has boating experience, and then one mate for boating trips and two mates for fishing trips.
Okay, so and with all those volunteers, you're covered. And whose boats?
We raised $44,000 our first year, and
Okay.
we bought a beautiful customizable 24-foot pontoon. We can remove some of the seats so we
Okay.
can accommodate wheelchairs and special needs.
Okay.
And then we just have been advertising. We've enlisted all of our family, friends, people from church, and that's our biggest need right now is more volunteers.
More volunteers even on
Yes.
top of what you have?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, just any other current needs besides the more volunteers?
Well, to continue providing this service,
Sure.
we always do need continual funding.
Sure.
We've had a lot of support from community businesses, civic organizations, and individuals. I'd like to just mention a couple. Johanna Shore's
Sure.
senior living community.
Sure.
They allow us to launch our pontoon from their dock,
Their place, okay.
which is just awesome.
Sure.
And then they also allow us to use all of their community space for our training and our meetings.
All right.
Veda's bait shop
Okay.
has provided all of our bait, and then Lake's One Stop Mobile provides the gas for the pontoon.
Okay.
We also do bagging groceries at numerous Cubs to raise funds.
All right. Well, appreciate your coming on the show tonight. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
great talking with you.
Thank you very much.
Now I'd like you to meet Molly Pittman, who is with an organization called Adoption is Love. Molly, thanks for coming in to tell us about this today. What exactly is Adoption is Love?
Well, thank you so much for having us and giving us this opportunity. So Adoption is Love is a nonprofit that was started by a Roseville adoptive family to grant wishes to the Minnesota foster children to help improve their lives and give them things that they might not be able to get through other means. We believe that every child deserves a loving family, especially while they're waiting for their forever home.
So this is a program for foster children whose money doesn't always
It doesn't always
stretch
flow,
enough,
that's
does it,
right, and it
for-
doesn't always flow freely for some
Yeah.
of these families. They've got such big hearts and there's so many needs. So we're out there granting wishes and helping to make some extra special things to give them light in their life.
Okay, can you tell us about what some of those wishes are?
Sure. So Adoption is Love, just in this last year, has granted 265 wishes.
goodness.
That's right. It's a lot of wishes. We never dreamt that we'd be able to do it. We've been doing. It's a wonderful thing. So wishes range anywhere from $50 to $300. And we've done things that include camp registration for summer camp. We've bought basketball hoops. We've paid for driver's ed. We've gotten musical instruments for a few children. We've also sent families and a number of children to some sporting events and some concerts. So we have done a lot of different programs out there. And then we've also we hosted the Fostering is Love Walk in October at the Mall of America. We had over 300 people come to participate.
Oh, that's a wonderful
right.
turnout.
That's right. At any given time in the state of Minnesota, there can be more than 10,000 children in the foster care system. And we're trying to bring awareness to the need for more foster homes and more foster families for these children. And I think we had a real good start at the Mall of America. And then we had Governor Dayton declare October 8th as Finding Foster Family Day in Minnesota. And due to that declaration, we were able to find 200 more families that have come to us just to learn what it takes and what they need to do to become foster parents. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
That's a wonderful number.
Yes,
There. Yeah.
yes, it is. We also are creating inspirational cards. And we give these to kids that might need a little uplift, and just to tell them that they are loved, they are appreciated, they are important. And then we're doing inspirational cards as well for the parents, to just say thank you for such having such big, kind hearts, because their job is a tough one.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we're just trying to acknowledge them a little bit.
So now, how can people get involved? Can they say, I'd like to donate X number of dollars so someone can take trombone lessons? Or-
Absolutely.
Oh, they can?
Oh, they can,
Okay.
yes. So on our website, we've got a list of children that have specific wishes, and you can go on there and you can match your dollars with a specific wish, or you can just make a general donation, and then if you care to, we will contact you back and say, this is what your money did for
Oh,
that child.
Wonderful.
Yes, yeah.
And especially now in the holiday season, sometimes
Yes.
families are looking for, a way to move outside of their family group and do something.
Yes.
So what a
So
wonderful
now for
idea.
the holidays, we are doing holiday socks of love. We so far have packed over 300 Christmas stockings that we will be giving to foster children, and they're packed with treats and toys and holiday items to hopefully lift their spirit through a hard time of year for them.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for telling us about
Yes.
Adoption is Love. It's a wonderful program.
Yes, and thank you so much for having us and giving us this opportunity.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns. Kathy Ramont is joining us here this evening. Thank you so much. So you've got a very interesting nonprofit, Do Good Roseville. So it couldn't be more localized than Roseville.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit.
Do Good Roseville, it's a group of volunteers that our goal is to make connections to do good things in our community. And it's really wide open what that means. And we say Do Good Roseville because we can't change the whole world, but we can change Roseville. So we try and keep it small, although we include anyone in what we're doing.
And so how did you get involved, or are you one of the people who started this organization?
I was one of the founders with my friend Sherry Sanders. It was one of those things where in 2015 I wanted to collect coats and hats and mittens for kids, and she said, I'll help you, let's do it. And since that time it's been 3 years, and we continue to, I have an idea, let's do it, and we just try and make things happen. So wherever we get an idea, we try and make things happen.
So what kind of stuff do you do on a regular basis? Like, what is your annual year like?
Well, one thing we do is in the first weekend in October, we do an annual volunteer fair. In July this year, we had our first children's business fair. We regularly hold educational events. We've done things from like breaking stereotypes of Islam to confronting racism Minnesota style. But one of the flagship programs that we have is called the Ask program. And the Ask program started because what we do is we try and ask people to, if you have an idea for something good in the community, we'll help you. We want to help you make it happen. So after a community conversation on race, a friend came to us and said, hey, I've got this, I have an idea. I'd like to have a panel of black men have a panel discussion about their life experiences. It turned out it was standing room only for that meeting, and the library came to us after that. The Ramsey County Library came to us after that and made it into a bi-monthly series. So we've done things from, ask a black man, ask a Muslim woman, ask an LGBTQIA person, ask a DACA dreamer. And so it's a bi-monthly series that we've been doing now for 2 years, and we'll be continuing into the next year. So
God,
it's
that's
a
marvelous.
great program.
How do you get the word out about your organization?
Well, we have a mailing list. We have a Facebook page. We have a website. We've great partnerships, like with the library. They post it, and so and then kind of word of mouth. A lot of people know who we are and what we're doing and follow us.
So have you found any, folks that have come up to you after an event like that and said, geez, this was wonderful. I really can't thank you enough for this.
That happens all the time. And what's really fun is when people come up from other cities and go, what, can we do a do-good, whatever, wherever they live. So we had people ask us about that. So it's just an idea. It's just getting people together and saying, we just want to do things. So we kind of our guidelines, because there's three of us. It's myself, my friend Sherry Sanders, and my friend Naya Harris. It's the three of us are this nonprofit. And we just say that, if someone has an idea, we just want to do it now. So we want to do it quick, and we don't want to wait. We want to keep it simple so we can get things done. And then we don't care who shows up, because we believe whoever shows up is always the right people. So it makes it really simple to do the things we do.
So what are you thankful for?
I'm so thankful for our community and the people in our community that support us. Or it's not really supporting us, it's supporting the ideas that we have. And our partners have been fabulous for us. So like the Roseville area schools has provided space for us for our different fairs. The Ramsey County Library and the Friends of the Ramsey County Library provides again space and has done funding for us to make it possible for CTV North Suburbs to tape our Ask series, so that's available for people who can't go to the meeting to see it on an ongoing basis. So it's all of those things that we're really thankful for, because it's not about us, it's not about what we're doing, it's about what's happening in our community.
And so your hope for the future, where is that?
Well, my hope for the future is that more people will come to us with ideas, because we've had some great ideas like Naya and some other ones where people have brought us ideas. So more of that, because I know there are people sitting at home that are going, we should do this, but have no idea how to make it happen. Well, the three of us, that's what we do. We try and make things happen, so we really specialize in that. I was saying our stretch goal, our really big goal would be if someday we could have a building of our own, so we could have a space that people in the community could use for free for these gatherings and to make connections. So that would be our most important thing. But mostly just that people bring ideas to us so that we can make other things happen.
So speaking of connections, how do people get a hold of you, Kathy? How, if they want to say, listen, I got a great idea or I want to help?
We have our webpage, which is dogoodroseville.com. So that's pretty easy.
dogoodroseville.com.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
That's awesome.
And we have a Facebook page, and so it's always easy. And we're always out and about, so it's very, a lot of people know us and we'll be able to connect them. So.
Well, Kathy, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. It's been great having you in. So, of course, don't forget to go to dogoodroseville.com. Kathy Romand, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
I'm here with Sherry Sanders from Rice Street Gardens. And Sherry, we're just going to start off with, how did Rice Street Gardens get started?
In 2014, the city of Roseville had developed a work group to find local garden space for Roseville residents. And I volunteered to help. And then I met Catherine Schneider at a plant sale, and she had envisioned a community garden where the old Zittel greenhouses used to be on Rice Street. And she had approached Galilee Lutheran Church across the street, and Ron Peterson also volunteered to help with this project. And we worked for a year together in weekly meetings with city councils of 3 different cities to get this going. And in 2015, we opened up Rice Street Gardens. It's a volunteer-led, organic community garden, and we have 266 plots.
266. That's a lot of. That's a bit of maintenance for us. Okay, but go ahead.
And so that's how we got started, and we just finished our 3rd year.
And so, who helps with that effort?
It takes a village to have a community garden. And so we're very thankful to the St. Paul Regional Water Services. They rent us 2 acres of land every year. And that's what we garden on. And then we also had to get permits for the city of Maplewood. And the city of Roseville also helps us. They provide us with compost. And we had the Maplewood Fire Department at one time helping us with water during a drought. And there's Gardening Matters. They were critical for helping us develop our infrastructure. And then also the Minnesota State Horticultural Society, they have a program called Minnesota Green, and they help provide seeds and plants.
When you got started on it, was it more than you were anticipating as you got into it? Or?
Yes, it was. We started out with 125 plots, and then in our second year we went to 160, and then we added another 100 this third year.
So people, how do they find out about it? Can they get their own plot? How does that work?
We have a Facebook page called Rice Street Gardens. We also have a web page called ricestreetgardens.org. And there's a phone number on all of our signs, and that's my home phone number.
A landline?
Old-fashioned.
Aren't too many. I've got one at home myself. But and so those are the locations that people can join. So they've got these plots, okay? And so it's individual effort to keep each of them going. Is that how it works out?
Yeah. Everybody gets their own plot, and then we all come together, and we have the people that help us. We have gardeners who are monitors and group leaders because we have many refugees and immigrants as gardeners, and we have over a dozen languages that are spoken there.
Wow.
And so we need help with communication, and so we have volunteers who do that.
And so for the crops and the food that's harvested, if you will, what's the disbursement on that, or how does that work?
Well, many of our gardeners are come from or have food insecure families, and so they're supplementing their diets through this garden.
So it's a very important, at least seasonal source of food then?
Absolutely.
What are the most typical crops, if there was such a thing?
I would say the number one is probably peppers.
Peppers?
Yes. Yeah. And then there's corn and tomatoes and other stuff.
Okay. What's a pepper? What's a pepper? What's a pepper plant look like?
All kinds of peppers.
I've seen them in the store, but
we also have amaranth and lemongrass, mostly to season food. We have a lot of people from Bhutan, Nepal, Burma, the Korean people.
Who grew their gardens in their own countries.
Yes, very much so. They are gardening experts. They could teach us.
And if you had a critical need or two to name off, what would that be?
We really would like to have some people step up and help us run the program because we'd like it to be self-sustainable. And right now it's like 4 of us doing this, and we'd like.
So you need help.
Yeah.
Okay. And so people can go to the your Facebook page.
Yeah.
And you've got a website as well, which I think should be listed.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today's show. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, next up on Show Us Your Nonprofit is one that you probably haven't heard of, and it's the Vietnamese traditional music of Minnesota. And joining me to tell us about it is Thi Vu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so the VTMM, we'll call it. Why did you decide to organize this?
I can say that my organization is open for everyone who loves music and who would like to discover more about the Vietnamese traditional music. Also, we run our organization is we open for everyone, and then we would like to bring our spiritual value to the community. Everyone can join, like children, parents, adults, elderly, everyone who loves music can join our group.
Okay, so when we talk about music, is it music on instruments or singing or dancing or what?
We are mostly in instrument.
And so where did you learn and what instrument do you play?
I learned the Vietnamese traditional music from Vietnam when I was just 10 years old, and then I brought four kinds of instruments to here. That's the word đàn tranh, đàn bầu, đàn tơ rưng, đàn thập lục. That you will see I play later.
Oh, okay, great. That'll be wonderful to see. So now, how do you attract people to your organization?
Like our organization is mostly in performance, so we bring our music to some community events, just that like summer festival events, Miss Ao Dai community event, or the Families of 10,000 and 1 Lakh event. That is a Vietnamese community event. We bring our traditional music to that, and then we hope that everyone, when they see our performance, they hear our performance, they will love the music.
And want to join you then?
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of plans do you have for the group?
We have a lot of plans for our group, like we will open some workshops to talk more about the traditional music. Like we can talk more about the history of the music, or we can open some lectures who lecture to teach people about the techniques, how to play music in different ways, or how to make the music become perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what age group do you have that is joining you and playing this music?
At the moment, we just have this group, and then in the future, we are going to open more, and then make our group is bigger and bigger, not only in Minnesota, but also in the other states like California or Texas, something like that.
Okay. Places where you have large populations of Vietnamese that
Yes.
settled there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your favorite part of being in this organization? You obviously love music.
Yeah. My favorite part of playing is like mostly about the folk song. Yeah. So that's one thing I recognize, that people in here, even though they are some children, they was born in here and they grow up in here, but they still love the folk songs of the Vietnamese. And then when they hear the music, they show their interest, and then they really like to play the music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's important to preserve that for the next generation.
I think that's very important, because we need to keep the traditional value for the person. I hope that our music activity will support the Vietnamese community in here. Also, we can bring some spiritual value to the not only Vietnamese community, but other community in here and in the other state, and we'll be bigger in U.S. also.
Okay, and people can find you on Facebook, is that right?
Yeah, we have a fan page named Vietnamese Traditional Music of Minnesota. We will upload on our music activities in there. People can contact me, or either contact by on Facebook.
Wonderful. Thank you for telling us about this organization.
Thank you for giving me the interview.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns, and joining me this evening is Lisa Baker from the Ralph Reeder Food Shelf. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what programs you offer, because obviously in the title, Food Shelf, it says a lot, but there's programs involved. So give us a little bit more details on that.
Yeah, so primarily our main focus is to provide food and other basic resources to low-income individuals and families that are living in our service area. But more importantly than that, we also try to connect those same people to additional resources that can help stabilize their situations. So things like, energy assistance or food stamps or health insurance, maybe looking for work, those types of things, because we believe then more than just being a Band-Aid of food, it's really our mission to try to make sure that we've provided them with any additional resources so that they can become more self-sufficient on their own. Now, in addition to those food programs, we also have a lot of seasonal programs, a lot of kid-focused programs. So we have weekend backpack programs for our students in Mounds View schools. We have large school supply distribution in August. And then 2 programs we're working on right now with the holidays are Thanksgiving for All project, which ensures that anybody visiting us is going to go home with a turkey and a Thanksgiving bag full of all the fixings. And then our Operation Joy Toy Shop, which is lots of fun. It takes place on December 20th. And we're doing toy shop registrations right now. So families that might be looking for help with any of these types of seasonal things can give us a call and set up an appointment. So things are really popping right now. It's a fun time of year. We're able to do a lot of really good things for people that need a little bit more special times during the holidays.
Where are you guys located? Where's Ralph Reeder
Yeah,
located?
we're in Mounds View. We just moved there in July. We used to be at the Pike Lake Education Center in New Brighton, and since July we've really loved our new space. We're at 2544 Mounds View Boulevard and right in a storefront in Silverview Plaza. So meeting lots of new neighbors. The needs are great there, and so we really feel it's a good fit.
And have you seen an increase in people who use your services over the last few years?
We have, yeah. Despite our healthy economy that people talk about, you know, the population that we're serving just hasn't benefited from that. They're still working very low-paying jobs. They're suffering from physical or mental illnesses or disabilities that really prevent them from working. Last year we actually had a 29% increase over the previous year. We're still at record numbers right now, and with the holidays we see an especially high increase in need.
So people who might worry about the stigma of actually going and seeking help or seeking services, what would you say to those folks?
I would say that the face of hunger is very different right now, and we are all just one tragedy or accident away from having to ask for help and use services, and hopefully when they come in the door they realize that it's not a scary place to be and that we're just there to provide them with a little bit of safety net.
It's really nice and it's a lovely thing that you do. So how can people donate? So let's say if I want to either donate my time or my services, or even if I want to donate money or goods.
Sure, yeah. So obviously lots of places to give, whether it's of your time or your money. This time of year, we are especially in need of donations. We have a fantastic opportunity right now, a $25,000 match, dollar for any new donations or any increased giving. So it's really an exciting time. Anybody that wants to make a donation can get that to us either through the mail or online at our website.
It's a wonderful tax deduction too, coming to the end of the year.
Hoping people to think about making a donation maybe by mid-December so we can really take advantage of that full match. But you know, people can give back in a lot of ways. So we hope that maybe we can garner some new support for the increased needs that we have and continue to offer the services all year round, not just at the holidays. So
tell us again your location and then also your website.
Yep, so our location, our address is 2544 Mounds View Boulevard, and that's Mounds View 55112. And then they can go to our website at www.ralph, like the man's name, ralphreederfoodshelf.org. And we have a click here to donate, and they can access it that way.
And they can also find out about the services
yes,
too.
Yes, and volunteer opportunities, that kind of thing, and give us a call if people need help.
Well, Lisa Baker, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Lisa Baker here from the Ralph Reeder Food Shelf.
I'm here with Heidi Danielson from Quincy House. So Heidi, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. What is Quincy House and where is it located?
Quincy House is located in Mounds View, Minnesota, actually very close to Ralph Reeder Food Shelf that we just heard from. And Quincy House is a home where at-risk teens, which really all teens are at risk these days with all that's going on in our world, can come and have support and mentoring from trusted adults, unconditional love, and we do programming there to help them meet their needs and just continue to develop as they have hope for the future.
It's unfortunate there's a need for that, but it's very, very nice you're fulfilling those needs. So how do people find out about it, or how do you find folks to serve, so to
You
speak?
bet.
Yeah.
Most of the kids who come to Quincy House are from the Irondale High School attendance area.
Okay.
We also have expanded our services this year and are serving middle school students as well. Most of them from Edgewood Middle School, which is a feeder for Irondale, some from Highview Middle School. And obviously all students are welcome. We are definitely an inclusive community and welcome students from neighboring high schools and neighboring areas as well. Really word of mouth. The students talk to each other and
Okay.
invite other students along. It's students that they know just need a place to hang out after school, a place that's safe, a place that's welcoming, and we provide programming on lots of nights of the week and lots of fun things to do.
What kind of programming do you do?
Well, right now we do homework help after school, where we have tutors available and really accountability just to have students have a place where they can come undisturbed and work on their homework after school. And on Tuesday and Thursday nights every week, the students meet at the house. We have a meal provided by volunteers, and we
Okay.
start with a family meal, sit around the table, pray together, and eat as a family. And then we have some programming. We have volunteers and staff people who help teach our students life skills that'll help them transition into adulthood and just talk and listen and support each other.
And the age range on the kids you serve?
Really, we have students as young as 12 and 13 coming to Quincy, and then we're really trying to provide some support for our older students as well. Once you graduate from high school, there's still a place for you at the table. And right now, one of our main focuses of some new work is working with our older students to help them develop some individualized post-high school plans as well, so that they'll know what's available to them and some resources where they can move on from Irondale and the safe community there too.
Now, I don't know if you were there at the beginning of Quincy House, but how did it get started? And you
You
by
bet.
chance part of that? I don't know.
Quincy House started about 3 years ago
Okay.
by two individuals, Tammy Moberg and Wayne Anderson, who both used to work in the Mounds View School District. They really saw a need for students to have a safe place to be after school and a place where they could just be kids and develop community and some mentoring from some trusted adults. So through partnerships, they were able to rent a house, and actually
Okay.
this past March, we had a donor gift us a house. And
they gave you a house?
gave you a house
So
in
are there
Mounds
Quincy
View.
houses now, or just?
There's just one,
Just
but
one?
it's full. It's bursting at the seams right now tonight with a Thanksgiving meal for all of our kids and all their families. They're having turkey right now while we speak.
Tonight?
Tonight. So it's a great spot. It's really close to Irondale High School, and it's just really met our needs, and it's been great to have.
So folks in the community, if they would like to help out, what can they do?
You bet. There's lots of needs that we have for volunteers and obviously for financial support as well. For volunteers, we have volunteers bring our meal twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or bring parts of it, have friends gather together and bring a meal as a group to feed the crew that meets with us. We also had, just this past weekend, we had a local church come in and bring volunteers to help rake. We've had people come in and help clean, and even tutoring and all those kinds of things that our students need, as well as volunteers to mentor them.
Did you help get this started yourself, or
I
just-
didn't. I just came in April. I actually was a
Really?
volunteer through the program.
Okay.
I brought meals for the past 3 years.
Okay.
After my oldest graduated from Irondale, I used to help feed the football team. And he went off to college, and I thought, well, I can feed these kids then if I can feed a football team. So I started bringing meals a couple times a month, and then just came on staff this April.
So how many folks on staff?
Just a couple of us part-time. So
Okay.
yeah, it's
It's a busy time.
It's a lot of volunteers that help run
Well,
Quincy House too.
appreciate your help with the Quincy House. Sounds like it's
Sounds great.
fulfilling a great need.
Yep, and to learn
And-
more, go to quincyhouse.org on the web.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The Show Us Your Nonprofit welcomes two guests from the Balkanicus Institute for Balkan Art, Culture, and History. I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
And joining me are Nicolai Kolarov and Vesna Stemwell. Sorry, I murdered that. But okay, tell us why do you have this Balkanicus Institute in Minnesota?
Why not?
Why not? That's a good enough answer.
There are many Balkan people who live in Minnesota, and it didn't happen yesterday. In the Balkan immigrants, they become coming to Minnesota in the 1800s to work in the Iron Range.
Sure.
And already in the 900 become the biggest immigration wave, and from the Balkans, Croatians, Serbians, Montenegrin, Bulgarians, Greek immigrants were coming, filling mining jobs. And the biggest in recent time immigrant wave was in the 1990s during the Yugoslavian war. This is the recent time. The Balkan people, when they came, they create their own organizations, and despite we share common interests, there was no common organization. Balkanicus Institute is that organization. And just to say, the Balkan nations are Albania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro, small part of Turkey, Greece, Moldova, and Slovenia. There are 12. Maybe I missed one, but there are 12 countries. And the people of that country, they influence with their own music, literature, cuisine, folklore. They influence. They had impact in the world, including Americas. And Balkanicus Institute, we want to highlight and promote all this.
Okay, a big mission. And let me ask Vesna here. How did the organization start? What's the mission of the organization, I guess?
Well, BBOC happens to be a nonprofit with an old history. BBOC was inspired by the Balkanicus New Art Chamber Music series, which started in 2003. That series features uncommon and unfamiliar Balkan music. But in 2013, a group of scholars and musicians joined forces officially to promote Balkan culture via BBOC. Okay. So BBOC's mission is to deepen knowledge and understanding of the Balkans here in Minnesota. It is also to promote friendship among the Balkan populations and others, which is something that typically you don't think of when you think of the term Balkan.
Yeah.
So BBOC is actually a Balkan ambassador.
Okay. And what events do you have coming up?
In 2019, we will do not one, but two Balkanicus concerts for new chamber music. The regular one, which is the annual in April 13th, will feature two world premieres, and traditionally we have all pieces American premieres. The second concert in October will showcase the Bulgarian composer Vasil Kazanjiev, who has written 4 pieces for the Balkanicus ensemble. And now we have our culture ambassador program. We involved Roseville Area High School, and we're going to not only to demonstrate to the kids, the students, to be aware with the Balkan dances, music, songs, but we're going to teach them. So the students for learning culture different from the world and for our communities, they will appreciate their own culture as well.
Yes, well, and what a wonderful thing to bring it to the students.
Yes.
And before I let you go, how can we get in touch?
Well, There are a number of different ways that you can help BBOC. Invite BBOC to have an event in your community venue. Partner with BBOC as a host for an event. Volunteer, of course. Promote our events on your media. And then come and check us out for real. And send us your ideas and suggestions. Better yet, join our planning committees. And of course, please give us our financial support so that we can enable our potential and strengthen our outreach in the community. And obviously, every dollar goes to support our mission.
Well, it's wonderful to always learn about some other cultures, and thank you for coming in today and telling us about BBOC.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns, and joining us here now, John Connelly. What a great Irish name.
Oh, I love it, Siobhan. Thanks so much for inviting me
Twin Cities
over.
North Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it's a big area. We represent an area, pretty much the access point being 35W and 694, and it kind of mushrooms out from that point on. So it includes a big area, including Roseville, New Brighton, Mounds View, Shoreview, Arden Hills, Fridley, Columbia Heights.
So it encompasses a big area.
Yes, a lot of businesses in those areas.
And
too.
there's a lot of business owners, like small business owners.
Correct.
So what would they do if they wanted to get involved? Even let's back it up even a little bit further than that. What benefit is it for them to get involved?
Well,
with
I think
guys?
what I like to do is I like to share the vision first, and that is we exist to promote business, to connect communities, and also develop leaders. And so, Siobhan, that really is an important aspect of us. So everything we do goes through that prism. With that, though, why would you belong? A lot of business owners don't have a lot of resources for a lot of information on a local level. So we try to form a coalition of businesses that keep them informed of local issues, whether it be particular things that city, county, schools are doing, but also offer them resources that maybe might not be available like a large business might. But we also offer the large businesses that same service. And the main thing is to connect them.
Mm-hmm. The networking, I'm sure, is essential.
It's that connection and that local connection. They may not know that there is a provider, a local provider, that can do that same work at a local level.
Yeah. And so what kind of businesses are involved in this?
All sorts. I mean, it runs the whole spectrum. So we have a small a bakery to a tax preparer to a large company to Rosedale Mall to school district. All these stakeholders are a part of this network. And so all of them can stay involved and know what each other's doing.
And you as president, I mean, you must be pretty busy because you're talking to a lot of business owners on a regular basis. So you feel their highs, you feel their lows.
Absolutely.
And you can kind of be a good sounding board for them so that they're able to maybe talk about this and also maybe share with their group, the same pains.
Exactly, Siobhan. And because what happens is that by forming this coalition and speaking as one community, you can communicate your message much stronger and much better. And that's what we really try to do on a local level and on a regional level for the business community.
So what kind of resources are available to the local business owner that maybe they don't know anything about?
Well, there's all sorts of programs and events that we do. So for instance, tomorrow morning we'll be up early doing a legislative breakfast. Even though it's called legislative breakfast, we are actually having county reps there. And they're going to go through all the resources that businesses are going to be impacted that involve county. And it can be anywhere from, county sheriff, it can be issues of economic development, it can be healthcare issues, anything on a local level, Siobhan. So it drills down into all sorts of areas, any kind of service that the county provides, they're going to get great information about.
So if people are interested and they want to get more, information or in touch with you, how do they go about this?
The best way to do this is through our website, because it's always up 24/7, and that's twincitiesnorth.org, twincitiesnorth.org. Also, I should point out, we have an office now in Roseville, but we are actually moving our offices over to Frontage Road off of Highway 36 called a place called the Reserve. And it's one of those shared offices.
Oh, great.
So we'll have a concierge there all the time. So if you come into our office and visit us in our new location after December 1st, you're going to have a warm fireplace there, and if you're a business owner, I'd love to talk to you more and have a conversation with you about the business issues and your issues, and maybe some solutions that the Chamber of Commerce members can network and provide for you, because that's what it's all about, is finding common ground on a local level and solutions at a local level.
I love that. Well, John Connelly, President of the Twin Cities North Chamber of Commerce, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Siobhan.
Absolutely.
All right.
Our next guest on Show Us Your Nonprofit, I get the pleasure of giving you our first four-legged guest tonight. We've got Roxy here, and with Roxy is Lori Carlson and Josie Schoonover-Nelson. Okay, thank you so much for coming on tonight's show.
Thank you.
And it's Can Do Canines, correct? Tell us, what kind of assistance, what do you train for?
Okay. Well, we train assistance dogs for people with physical disabilities.
Okay.
We train for 5 types. We train for mobility assist,
Okay.
seizure response, hearing assist, diabetes assist, and autism assist for children with autism and their families.
I'm going to ask about the seizure thing, but we'll maybe come back to that. So how are they trained, or how do you go about that, especially for the different applications?
For the different applications, well, we don't start when they're young. We just start on good manners, good house manners, and behaving well in public. But when they come in for final training at our facility, we kind of equate it. They come to college and they pick a major.
Okay.
So our trainers are working with them at that point. What do they like? What's their niche? If they're really into scent and they're persistent, they'll go towards diabetes assist.
Okay.
If they're really laid back and they're larger, they'll go autism. So that's when we start to decide which area they're going to go to. Then we look at the clients that are waiting and start making a match. And then they start training for that particular client.
Where do the dogs come from, or types of dogs, or how does that work?
We have a lot of different, we have our own lab breeding program.
Okay.
So we have labs in our program. From what we start, we have dogs that are donated by reputable breeders.
Okay.
And then we always have dogs that are from shelters and rescues. So that's how we started 29 years ago, was with shelter and rescue dogs. So we always will have those dogs in our program as well.
So you've been doing the organization's been around for like 30 years now?
Next year will be 30 years.
Wow.
So yeah.
And just the cost of running the program, or for a dog and the assistance, what kind of cost might that be?
It costs us on average about $25,000 per dog to train. Wow. We do not charge the clients for that.
Okay.
They pay a $50 application fee. That's the only thing they pay.
Okay.
So last year we did 42 teams. We're looking to do at least that this year. So $25,000 per dog adds up.
That's a big budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people who would like to help, what are your greatest needs, or what can folks do?
Besides donations, probably our greatest needs is for volunteers.
Okay.
And so Josie here has Roxy.
Okay.
And you want to tell them a little bit about what what you're up to?
Sure. This is Roxy. She's a 7-month-old Labrador Retriever, and I'm puppy raising her, which means she lives at my house until she's about 18 months to 2 years old. And I work on basic manners with her, making sure she's comfortable in public, and just exposing her to as many different things as I can, so that when she goes in for final training, she does very well.
I should have sent my kids to you with the manners and stuff like that. So you signed up for the long term here?
Yes.
Is this your first dog? Or?
No, this is my third one that I've helped raise.
And then, so you get to that graduation, what happens once they're kind of set up, so to speak?
Well, once they're certified, a team.
Certified.
Yep, they finish training, they're done, they're off into the wild blue yonder. We have about every quarter or every 4 months we have a graduation ceremony. And at that point our puppy raisers get to see their dog again. They get to see how well they're doing with their client, and they get a little reunion with their dog. The client comes on stage, we tell their story, puppy raiser comes, kind of ceremoniously hands a leash back over to them. We all cry and we all have cake. So it's a wonderful celebration. It's open to the public. And so it's a really fun thing to come to, and it's at our facility.
We're going to wrap it up here, but that whole graduation process, and you're so close with an animal. I know that. And then you got to give them up, and then eventually go into other things.
But we're always needing more volunteers. That's probably our biggest need right now is
Great program. Thank you so much for coming on today's show. I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, can I pet Roxy now?
I don't know, take her cape off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, next up is a well-known Roseville organization called the Rosetown Playhouse. And joining me, first of all, is John Gilchrist, who's the president. And we have two of the student volunteers, Somla and Nila. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming, because theater is exciting. Okay, tell me, how would you describe the typical community, your Rosetown Playhouse community?
Well, it's a very fun, multi-generational group. We have actors in our plays from age 6 to 70 at times. It's a lot of fun with sometimes individuals, sometimes families, but we put on a number of shows throughout the year, and our goal is to have inclusive and fun theater experiences.
And do you particularly look for plays maybe that have that cross-generational cast?
Yes, it's sometimes a challenge, but we choose to have plays where we can cast a large number of people, and we look for plays that are appeal to a wide range of audience, family-friendly, and really that help us really do a kind of community performance.
Okay, and how do you support the Rosetown Playhouse?
We have a number of different ways. We do support ourselves partially through ticket sales, and some through grants, and some through donors. We have people who donate, one time, or people who donate on a regular basis, sustaining members, so to speak.
Okay, and what kind of activities and programs does the Rosetown offer?
We have like winter plays and kid plays, adult plays, summer.
Yeah, we have
plays.
summer camps. We have music camps, and we have teen improv over the summer.
Oh my, that's a lot. Who are your instructors then?
Just volunteers volunteers in our community, people who have been with Rosetown.
So you do several plays a year?
Yeah.
How many?
Two plays a year.
Yeah, 2 places a year. We do a large summer production, which is usually held out at the Como Pavilion outdoors. And then we have a winter play, which we're in the middle of producing right now. I actually had to grab someone away from rehearsal to come down to do this. So.
Okay, and what one is that?
It's Madagascar.
Oh, fun.
Yep.
And do you both have roles in it?
I am not in it this year, but I will be in the summer play and hopefully next winter's play.
Okay. And it says here you're student volunteers. So do you also help behind the scenes?
I've done lighting before. It's really cool when you're not in the show. If you can't be in the show, it's cool to help around and help postering and help with the lighting and backstage. So you're still part of it even if you're not on stage.
Sure, but you need a lot of people doing all those tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you get out of being part of the Rosetown?
Well,
You kind of get a second family.
yeah, and so everyone just becomes your friends.
Yeah, everybody's your friend there. It's another family. It's another place to kind of escape from school and work, and you kind of just get to have fun and be your silly self. Yeah.
And how about you, John? Are you in some of the plays?
I am. I actually got involved with Rosetown through my children. They were involved, and I was just a parent volunteer, and one thing led to another, and I've been on stage a number of times.
And there you were up on stage saying, how'd I get here?
Yeah, sometimes I wonder.
Okay. So how can people become involved with the Rosetown
Well,
Playhouse?
one way to do it would be to check out our website at rosetownplayhouse.org. We're also on Facebook, and people can follow us and see what's coming up next. And we encourage people to either volunteer or try out for our show. Many different ways for folks to get involved.
And you probably should tell us when that next play is going to
Well, Madagascar Junior will be showing this last weekend of November, so November 30th, December 1 and 2 at Roseville Area Middle School. And then the summer play is yet to be announced, but that's usually a mid-July production.
Okay, well, it's really a wonderful contribution to the community. Not just Roseville, but people come from all around, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you for coming and telling us about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns. Joining us this evening is Jeff Dahlman. He's the Executive Director of Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center. Thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, the mission of this organization, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the mission of the Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center is very simple yet critical, and that is to ensure that every Minnesota child is prepared to learn and succeed in the classroom by providing free school supplies to students most in need. And we do that by inviting teachers from eligible schools throughout the state of Minnesota to obtain free school supplies at our resource center right here in Roseville. Our resource center looks like your basic retail environment at any Target or Walmart with all the school supplies, office supplies, games, and accessories, just minus the cash register.
Well, you know, I know like schools are always in a situation where they need more supplies. How big of a problem is this?
It's a continuous and growing issue not only here in Minnesota but across the country. This past school year we served over 97,000 students in the state of Minnesota alone. We invited over 5,000 teachers to visit our resource center and get supplies, and during the 2017-2018 school year we distributed $1.5 million in school supplies to students throughout the state of Minnesota.
How do you determine who actually gets these supplies?
Yeah, absolutely. So we serve schools in which 70% or greater of the student population participates in the federal free and reduced lunch program. We actively reach out to these schools. We hope they don't have to try and find us. Once again, this past school year we partnered with 151 schools, and we are growing. According to data from the Minnesota Department of Education, there are over 250 schools that would meet the qualification to utilize the resources at the Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center. So a lot of work we want to continue to do. but that's how we do actively reach out and connect with these schools and the districts throughout the state.
Geez, it's amazing really when you think about it. So then on this distribution list, you know, to meet the students' needs, how do you know what to get and how do you know where to send it?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think of what the students need most, we determine what we call core school supplies, whether it's folders, notebooks, crayons, markers, glue sticks, you name it, those are the core supplies of students. Exactly, the essentials that a student needs every day to succeed in the classroom. We also get a variety of donations of once again, office supplies. We get a lot of games and accessories that teachers love to help reward their students and provide just additional opportunities for their students as well. So, but we, all the product that we support these students with is donated product, and we make the most of any and every donation that is provided. So we, yeah.
And I'm sure that the teachers really appreciate that because now it helps them do a better job with what they're doing.
Exactly. We want, not only does the students deserve what they need in the classroom, but the teachers do too. We all know teachers. We all know teachers that spend money out of their own pockets each and every day, every school year to get the school supplies they need for their classrooms. They don't want to see their students go without. This past school year, average visit at our resource center yielded about just shy of $500 in school supplies. Teachers at the eligible schools can visit us twice per year. So we like to hope that if they did make their 2 visits, that they got around $1,000 in supplies for their classroom, which is $1,000 less they had to spend on supplies and funds they could use towards their own expenses or to support the community in other ways as well.
So what age group do you guys serve?
Pre-K through 12.
Wow.
So yep,
Yeah.
it's primarily elementary schools, just because there are more elementary schools in each district, but pre-K through 12, yes.
So then how do the community get involved?
Absolutely. So we are a very volunteer-driven organization supporting over 150 schools and growing. We rely on volunteers to help pack supplies, organize supplies, help to run our teacher store. They get to meet teachers firsthand when they come in to visit us as well.
That must be very fulfilling.
We like to hope so. I mean, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see the teachers actually come in. The teachers are very grateful. One of a common phrase we hear is this is their Christmas when they come in. It's items they can get. They're very grateful for what they can get for their students. And the only thing we ask of teachers is we give them, we call it a homework assignment they can write a thank you note that we can share with our partners. And some of those thank you letters are all of them are very heartwarming. They open up in terms of ways that we've been able to support them, and not only them, but most importantly, the students in their classroom.
So how do people get a hold of you and how do they find the information that they're looking for to donate?
So the easiest way would be through our website, and that is tckinrc.org, which stands for Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center. You can also find us on Facebook just search Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center. It's at TC Kids in Need. You can reach out to us on both those sites. We have links so you can connect with us for volunteer efforts. We do a wide variety of school supply drives as well. That's a major way that we do get supplies for the students here in the state.
All year long.
All year long we're accepting supplies, and those come right in. So all the people who supply right here in Minnesota, those supplies stay here in Minnesota as well.
Well, Jeff Dahlman from Twin Cities Kids in Need Resource Center, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, next on Show Us Your Nonprofit, we've got Kurt Stockford with the gavelclub.org. Now, just to be up front, we had lunch at the Optimist Club last week.
Yes, we did.
So we can't claim we don't know each other.
That's true.
At least a little bit. But having said that, what is the history of and what is the North Suburban Gavel Association?
Well, the North Suburban Gavel Association was started in 1964.
Okay.
That's, according to my math, 54 years ago.
Okay.
Quite a long time for any independent organization in this part of the country. And it was started originally by a group of service organizations, key of which was the JCs of Roseville, which were a very large and active service organization during that period of time. And the president of JCs and of Rotary were having coffee one morning and said simply, you know, we really ought to get together with the other service organizations in the community so that we're not duplicating event dates. And so that we share news and information about activities so we can better serve the community. And so that's the way it started, and it was originally just the presidents of service organizations in the North Metro area.
Because I see Gavel Club, I immediately go to judicial, but it's just trying to square away all these different organizations.
Yes, indeed.
Now, 64 years ago, when you joined that group, no, not then?
Not then.
So the purpose is, as you explained, just to keep all those organizations straight.
Right.
Okay. How many, and just on a personal basis, how many organizations do you belong to?
Well, I belong to, personally, I belong to 3. My primary organization is Lions Clubs International. And then, because I represent Lions, my club, at the Gavel Club. And then I also belong to Optimist International, where we have lunch occasionally.
Yes, we do. And for the leaders, how do you recognize the volunteer leaders?
Well, we it's one of our basic purposes of the club. Besides trying to be a place to network with organizations and agencies that serve the area, we also try to recognize outstanding volunteer leadership in the communities that we serve. And we do that by having an awards dinner every spring. And this spring will be our 40th consecutive awards dinner, in which we begin accepting nominations for these awards in February. Those can be submitted by current Gavel Club members, or by previous recipients of the award. And so over 39 years so far, that's quite a large number. So we always seem to have a fair number of nominations for the awards. We are fortunate to live in an area which is truly full of volunteers.
Well, I imagine your personal calendar is pretty full. Would that be a good assumption or no?
Yes, it is pretty full. I think that the things that drive me, as well as those that drive all the members of the Gavel Association, are the concept of filling the needs of the community. And the way I think we can best do that is by continuing to be a place where organizations can network, can share news, can cooperate, collaborate, and make more and more people aware of what's going on. We certainly will continue to do that, as well as to be a group that recognizes outstanding volunteer leadership.
Okay, well, appreciate you coming on tonight's show. Appreciate your efforts in the community as well. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Roger.
Okay.
Well, I have two guests with me from Friends of the Roseville Parks. We have Sharon Brown and Corey DeYoung. And we're going to find out about that important role you play in helping preserve and take care of and the Roseville Park. So let's start with you, Sharon. What do you do?
Well, the Friends of Roseville Parks is a long-time organization within the Roseville community, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and our main aim is for the development and the beautification and providing maintenance and also some of the recreational facilities that are not in the main Park and Rec budget. So we help facilitate some of that. We're very excited next year in 2019, our organization began in 1969.
Oh, so you've been around a long time.
We will be our 50th year next year.
Oh,
We're very proud and very excited to be in that era of having existed that long.
Yes. And have you seen changes in how the parks, what you do for the parks, how they're put together, the playgrounds?
We do. There's always needs. There's always needs within the community, and everybody has needs within the community. And so we take a look at what is needed, what is wanted, what families are looking for an experience within our city parks. And we try to make sure that we answer the call when it's requested. We look at each request seriously, and then we make our decisions on where we spend our money.
Okay. And Corey, maybe you can tell us a little bit about where has that fundraising money been spent?
So in the last few years, we've done a couple different things. Most recently, the Cedar Home Community Building.
Oh, that's lovely.
We donated some money for the patio that is there. It's a beautiful patio. We have placed 6 fireplaces into different parks buildings around the metro area. It's great during the ice skating season. You can come in and warm up at those fireplaces.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do the flowers on the boulevard for Lexington Avenue. Those are done every year. So if you spend any time on Lexington Avenue, those flowers are done with the Parks Department, but the Friends of Roseville Parks donates money for those.
Okay.
Like I said, over the 50 years, we've done many different things. We've added the
indoor tree.
The indoor tree at the Harriet Alexander Nature Center. If you've been to the Nature Center, there is a tree that's within in the building. There are display cases that we've donated to. So we also did Lake Bennett. We put in an aeration system. And there was another piece to that. I have not remembering that there was the aeration and another piece to that.
The Muriel Saline Arboretum. We've done the fountain.
Oh, you did?
There also. Yep.
We've done the playground at the Dale Street Park. So it's been
over
fun.
the years, really a lot of projects for
and I'm sure there
parks.
are many that some of our members could remember from years ago that I don't even know about.
Sure,
right?
Sure. So tell me, Sharon, how do you raise money for these things?
Well, that's always a challenge.
Yeah,
that's always a challenge to raise money, and we try to do it with some grace and panache. Over the years, we've done casino nights. We've done Christmas home tours. We've done galas. We've done tea parties in the yard and in various homes. But our newest endeavor, one of our newest endeavors that we're very proud of, is called Tapped and Uncorked, and where we have brought craft brewers, distillers, wineries to the city of Roseville, and we do it on the last Friday of September. And we bring all these people in, and we have a great time, a band and food, and then
and the community.
And the community shows up.
It sounds like fun.
Yep.
And very quickly, maybe Corey, you could tell us where can we get in touch?
Absolutely. You can go to. We are online at friendsofrosevilleparks.org. We are also on Facebook. And there was one other thing you wanted me to say, and I'm forgetting it right now. But we're on both Facebook at Friends of Roseville Parks, and we are at
and you can download the brochure off of our website.
To become a member.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And we are moving to evenings starting next year. We've always been day, and we're moving to evenings to accommodate all of those working people that would like to join us, and we're always looking for new members.
Okay, and thanks for all the wonderful work you do with those parks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns, and joining me here this evening is Jenny Landon, who's the founder and executive director of Growing Out of Darkness. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. So, this is it's a beautiful title for a nonprofit, Growing Out of Darkness. What was your motivation for this?
Well, I have to say that I've had a lot of motivations that really have compelled me to start Growing Out of Darkness, but it really starts from losing my dad to suicide on June 2nd, 1999. I was 20 years old, and his death really just sent me into heartbreak. You know, I was devastated, and I had days where I didn't know if I could make it through the day, much less actually have to function. I was really fortunate to have good people in my life who pushed me, they encouraged me, and they loved me. And they are really what pushed me to heal. And through them, I was able to really get to a whole nother level in my life. And in the spring of 2014, almost 15 years after my dad passed away, a friend of mine reached out to me and asked me if I would write a letter of hope to two of her friends who had each lost a loved one to suicide. And that letter actually turned into this book. And in January of 2017, when I realized that this was actually going to be a published book, I knew in my heart I could not sell it for profit. And so we started Growing Out of Darkness so that we could actually donate this to anyone who's in need.
Because suicide is something that a lot of people think that may never happen to them, and then suddenly they know somebody or they've had a family member that it touches. So organizations that deal with grief and loss, I mean, they're all very, very admirable. What makes yours different or slightly different?
Sure, thank you for asking that. Yeah, you know, the suicide prevention piece, it's critical that we have that. But what differentiates me from some of the other organizations is that I'm really focused on changing the way we live every day so that we can avoid having moments of crises rather than just simply preventing suicide in a moment of crisis. Another aspect of what makes me different is I'm really hoping to push this movement of bringing holistic health into the world of mental health and helping people to realize that aspects such as acupuncture, Reiki, even honestly the UFC kickboxing gym, all of those methods are ways to heal and manage our mental health.
Well, self-care is something that you usually put at the end rather than at the beginning when you're going through something like this, because you're busy coping. Yeah, absolutely. So who would benefit from you maybe coming to speak at at their organization or at their group, because you do speak on this subject.
I do absolutely speak on this, and I know this isn't the right answer, but honestly, everyone. There is not a single organization or school that wouldn't benefit from having me come in, because the fact is, if we are going to end this epidemic, we have to do it together. And what I like to do is come in and talk to people about my own story, my own journey. I give examples on ways that people can heal. And the fact is that none of us can be truly successful, whether we're a student in school or a professional in our career, if our mental health isn't stable.
Because I know that the guilt that survivors of suicide are faced with is enormous.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so people who want to get involved, how can they get involved?
So the best way to get involved actually is to visit our website, growingoutofdarkness.org. On there we have a page that's dedicated to the different ways that people can support our organization.
Yeah, and it really is a beautiful book. Did you find that this was very good for you to write this? Was it very healing?
This was a tremendous blessing for me, and I'll tell you that while at one point my dad's death, as I said earlier, nearly crushed me, I'm able to look at it now and know that it was the greatest blessing of my life. His
That's a lot
death,
of wisdom that comes from that.
Well, and his death actually saved my life ultimately, and I know that it's had a profound effect on many other people because of this book. And if I could have listed the authors, his name would be right there.
Wow. And I'm sure you miss your dad every day.
I do, but he's with me every day. In writing this book, and even now, I turn to him regularly just to check in, and I know he's with me.
Yeah, I know. I love that. So when you speak at different events, what kind of topics do you cover? Just in
it can. It really ranges from anything from specific to postpartum depression to the element of being suicidal and being able to recover. But I love to speak about really what it means to heal and to overcome and just that resiliency, because I believe that each one of us, regardless of our trauma, can heal.
Yeah. So when people want to get a hold of you, you were saying that your website is growingoutofdarkness.org?
Correct.
And you have information about how they can get the book?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, anyone watching this, if you yourself or someone else needs a copy, please go to our website and request a book to be sent to them.
That's lovely. Well, Jenny Landon, thank you very much for joining us here today. Again, Growing Out of Darkness is the name of the organization.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Mark Braun. I pronounced that correctly, I hope. Program head coach with Rolling Thunder. Okay, now, what is Rolling Thunder?
Rolling Thunder is a program for people with disabilities, both cognitive and physical disabilities.
Okay.
Rolling Thunder is an adaptive sports program for people that want to compete either competitively or recreationally.
Okay.
Rolling Thunder is not only it's a track program, and that's how it really got started in New York. Rolling Thunder started in many years ago in New York, and athletes. It honed in on athletes with intellectual disabilities because a lot of programs didn't accept people with intellectual disabilities. So a gentleman and founder, his son had an intellectual disability, and he saw that there needed to be more programs that accepted people with intellectual disabilities. So that's how that kind of got started, and then it kind of followed up behind with, it opened up to be an inclusive, and always was inclusive, so people with physical disabilities could also participate in the program. And then it broadened out from not just New York, Long Island, but then it went to other areas of New York, and then then we were the second chapter of New York.
So from New York to Minnesota?
To Minnesota.
Okay,
The founder came out and did an intro and got us kind of started. And we started with 26 athletes in our program just off the first year in 2016 of April, which was it was a good start. And so we had a lot of intellectual disabled athletes as well as building the physical disabled athletes as well on top of that. And so we've served over 81 athletes here in Minnesota through our program. The neat thing about our program is we're a free program. We don't charge our athletes registration fees or entry fees. And we also include families to be a part of our program and our teams while participating in the program. So there's a lot of neat niches and gadgets and tools that are with our program.
And you've done this kind of, you mentioned before, we talked off camera, just you've done this kind of interview previously as well. Now, so you've been involved just for the last 2 years?
I've actually been involved for the last 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, I started in 2016. 2 years. Yeah.
A couple years?
A couple years. And I was at the time, in 2016, I was at the time just the physically disabled coach for just the athletes that came into our program that were in wheelchairs. And so with that said, our head coach had been left shortly after that year, and a lot of athletes had dropped off our program. And so then I was the interim head coach, and then I was brought in as the program head coach. And
it's funny how volunteer kind of
yes, yes,
helped out, and then
yes,
and then
yes,
a little
and
more,
so
okay.
And I actually don't get paid for the position that I'm in currently. It's all based off of volunteer. All our coaches are volunteer. Everybody that's in the program are volunteer. We take the time, a couple of hours out of the week to run the program. And I come from a background of being a U.S. Paralympic athlete with Team USA in track and field.
You
yes,
personally?
Okay. So I compete with Team USA in the U.S. Paralympics in track and field. So I have the background of track and field and other things. And so our program also is trying to incorporate wheelchair basketball and adaptive swimming, which I don't have a lot of experience in swimming, but in wheelchair basketball I have a ton of experience. I was a 4-time national champion in wheelchair basketball, a gold medalist in wheelchair basketball, and a lot of accolades
this is
as well.
rolling basketball.
Yes, this is rolling basketball, wheelchair basketball. And so I wanted to get that sport undergoing in our program as well.
Okay, so you've got a ton of experience and some pretty good success too.
Yes, yep.
And in the track and field, what kind of events?
So track and field, it can go from the 100 meter to a half marathon, a full marathon. Whatever the athletes want to do, I tailor their workout to that event.
All right. Okay. We can get to it. I've participated in some long runs, and I think the wheelers just go.
Yep.
They beat it.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a Boston Marathon or Grandma's Marathon,
they're quick.
Those athletes are done within an hour or so.
Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight's program. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well, as we continue with Show Us Your Nonprofit, we have probably the largest group of the evening, and they're from the Walker Arts Center. I'm going to let them introduce themselves right now.
Hello, I'm Greg.
My name's Avani.
My name is Soraya.
I'm Core.
I'm Veronica.
I'm Winfrey.
And you're part of a teen organization there called WACTEC. Who's going to explain that to us?
I can start.
Sure.
So WACTEC stands for the Walker Arts Teen Council. And essentially, like what we do is we help program like stuff for teens and help the Walker like market more things towards teens to help get more teenagers like involved in the art scene in Minneapolis and specifically like at the Walker.
Okay, so what are some projects that are aimed right towards teens?
Well, in fact, we have a special event tomorrow going on called Teen Takeover, where we have an all-teens event, 13 through 19, and we'll be making arts, having live concerts, snacks. We'll be making keychains, and overall fun.
So ideas like that come from your advisory group then here.
Yeah.
Those were some of your ideas then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's it like for teens to have a voice in a large institution like the Walker Arts Center?
I think it's really important for teens to have a voice, and especially youth in general to have a voice in big institutions. So we have like more of a say of what's gonna come because we're the next generation. We're the ones who are gonna take over this country, kind of. So it's kind of nice to like have more of a say on what happens and have more awareness of, you know, what it's like to be a teen today.
Okay. And tell me, what's the impact of having art in your life?
Well, I think for many people, art is expressionism and like how we handle situations that are happening to us. And I think especially as young people, there's a lot of things changing in our world and a lot of things, social issues that are affecting us. So I think it's really important for teenagers now to have something to express those worries and concerns that we're facing as a newer and younger generation that other generations haven't faced before. And I think art's always a really good way to help like deal with like new situations. And so I think it's helping us connect with our past and connecting with older generations as well as express ourselves as a new generation and problem solve like within our own community.
So if there are teens who think, well, it'd be kind of fun, and so what would you tell them that they do there? Do they help with displays or what do they do?
Well, teens, they can input their voice and help make changes within the Walker Art Center to broadcast more art that's more interesting to them or more relatable to them. And yeah.
Okay. Well, it's quite the honor, I would think, to be able to be part of the Walker. It's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you enjoy most about it?
I really enjoy being around other teens who are really into art and art making and just like the love for all types of art and different types of art too. It's a really good way to, you know, get with your peers and see across differences with like maybe different art that they like, different things that they like, and just really give us a time to connect. And yeah.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think that it's really like helpful for all of us to have like a group where we can talk specifically about art and like the different effects it has on us as young people.
Mm-hmm. Are you all thinking of going into an artistic field?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is really really important part of your education then.
Mm-hmm.
So how can people find out more?
Well, we are on social media. On Instagram, we are Walker Teens, and we post a lot. We just did a social media blitz a few hours ago, and also through the Walker Art Center page, you can find us and get applications for next year's. And we also have Facebook, and do we have a Twitter?
Yeah,
we do have a Twitter. Yeah. So really throughout all social media, which is, I mean, in my opinion, mostly how teens kind of communicate now, we're there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you all for coming in. It's fascinating to hear about this program and hope some other teens join you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're watching Show Us Your Nonprofit. I'm Siobhan Cairns, and I'm here tonight with Jeff Huth from the Blizzard Foundation. Welcome, Jeff. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
The Blizzard Foundation is dedicated to providing access to baseball to all families. We're also dedicated to empowering baseball players through community service opportunities, and then we award a scholarship every year in the memory of Johnny Price IV.
And so who is Johnny Price?
Yeah, Johnny Price was a Lakeville South standout on and off the field. He was also a member of the Minnesota Blizzard Club baseball team. Johnny was a leader through and through, and he was a generous individual who talked about helping others and providing access to baseball. So the unique thing about the scholarship is we don't look at stats on or off the baseball field. We don't look at a GPA or an ACT. What we're looking at is students, senior baseball players who exemplify the characteristics of Johnny Price, who's being a true leader and making others around him better. The foundation really encompasses who Johnny was as a person. We're not here to create Johnny's legacy, we're just here to propel it.
So what is the scholarship? What do people get when they get the scholarship?
Yeah. So far we've awarded 6 scholarships over the last 3 years. The scholarships have been $1,000 a piece, and it goes right to their school for them to continue their academics.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I'm sure there's a bit of fundraising that goes into that.
Absolutely.
So baseball is a wonderful sport, and it's enjoyed by many. I mean, it's an American sport. So what is it about baseball that really helps to build a young person's, mentality or...
Yeah. So we talk about life lessons with baseball all the time. So you hear the cliche of failure. Baseball is a sport you're going to fail 3 out of 10 times, and if you do, you're going to be a very good athlete. And failure is something we don't see our youth handling very well, so we feel as if baseballs can kind of help them do that. We also see the value of teamwork and intrinsic value. Baseball is the one sport where unless you're going to hit a home run every time, you can't score every run. You need to rely on others and others around you to kind of help you do the job. And then finally, we talk about with baseball, just the overall community aspect.
Yeah.
So in a time where socialization is being overtaken by media, this is kind of a time for people to gather and build a community with each other.
I love that. And also when you get baseball and you get the community together and you get kids together, you also get families together.
Absolutely.
So it's good for families too.
Yeah. So, and we talk about in our mission, what does access to baseball look like? And we know there's 3 types of people. People that play baseball, people that watch baseball, and people that watch baseball that wish they could play baseball. So access for people that play baseball usually looks like travel cost or maybe equipment needs or other program fees. For the people that watch baseball, we understand that baseball can be a great family activity, and sometimes attending professional baseball games can logistically and financially be a burden for families. So that's why this last summer we hosted a baseball game for the families of Crescent Cove and Hope Kids, 2 organizations that help families when things might be getting a little tough. And why we did that is we wanted them to be able to access the game of baseball without the massive stadium crowds or even the fees for anything else. So
that's really wonderful to do that, because you're creating memories as well more than any.
Absolutely. And our biggest memory is probably those kids watching baseball who don't necessarily get to play baseball.
You must love doing this.
Yeah, and that's why last summer we hosted an 8-week camp for the students at Battle Creek Middle School. It was to give them something positive to do during the summer. It was completely free to all students, nutritional meals, equipment, high-level coaches, and everything to get them access to the game.
So Jeff, how do people either contribute or how can they, even apply for a scholarship?
The Blizzard Foundation is open to all families in Minnesota, regardless of affiliation or what organization you're a part of. You can visit the Blizzard Foundation online at theblizzardfoundation.org. And if you're looking to contribute, December 15th, we have our first holiday party. It's a great time to hear our message, show you the work that we're doing and where we're wanting to go.
Well, Jeff Huth, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And the Blizzard Foundation, and you can go again to theblizzardfoundation.org.
Thank you.
All right, we're here with Michelle Ness, Executive Director of PRISM. And my only introduction to prisms in physics, I used to take a beam of white light and break it into a wonderful rainbow. But tell us about PRISM in Minneapolis.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. Michelle Ness with PRISM. We are a basic needs nonprofit organization. We're based in Golden Valley, and we respond to the basic needs of our community. We have a food shelf. It serves about 900 families a month.
Wow.
We have a thrift shop that is open to the public, so it's a social enterprise generating revenue to support our programs. Assist people with obtaining and maintaining safe and stable housing, preventing homelessness, as well as children's programs. So back to school, holiday, and birthdays to make sure that families are able to maintain those traditions and holidays.
So what kind of population do you serve, or what number of folks? And a bunch of different ages as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's like walking through Target. People in need look the same as you and me. We tend to not wear a name tag saying, I'm struggling right now. But we've got majority of the folks who are able to work are working, one or more jobs. Seniors are the growing group of food shelf users, fastest growing. But about 50% of the people impacted from what we do are seniors or children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so what is your greatest need
Our greatest,
that you run into,
yes.
or as an organization?
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of really great things, and I would say one of the key reasons that we do that is our approach and being very thoughtful. We want to be customer service oriented really to the max. We kind of think of ourselves as Byerly's or Lund's in the world of food shelf, and being kinder than necessary because everybody is going through some sort of challenge. So with that said, we're seeing our numbers continually increase. We moved in March. We're in partnership with another nonprofit, and every single month since then, we are hitting record high new numbers of people accessing the food shelf. So that means what we need, and everybody will say, money. I always need money. There's a lot of things that aren't exciting that we need to pay for, but volunteers. We could not do what we do without volunteers, so people coming in to give of their time as well as their treasure. And donations of food and then clothing for our thrift shop.
Okay, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, you think relatively prosperous area, but still a need and a growing need?
There are more people in the suburbs right now than there are in the city. It has tremendously grown in the last 20 years.
Okay, and how can people get involved?
They can get involved right now. Today is Give to the Max, and so you can look up PRISM, PRISM. Or go to our website. Honestly, one of the easiest things is going to Facebook and liking us. Every like, every comment. But donations of food, flour, sugar, oil. People like to cook, right? Just like
stuff.
You and me. Yeah, or if you're going to donate a box of cereal at $1, we'll go to Second Harvest and buy the gallon of milk to go with that because it tastes better that way. Yeah, lots of really easy ways.
Is that Second Harvest Heartland or no?
Yeah, Second Harvest Heartland is a food bank, and so we purchase food from them. They're kind of like our Costco.
I've done some food packing there myself.
Yep, they are great. They are great.
And how did you get involved with PRISM?
I am a social worker by trade, and I've been with the organization for about 5.5 years. Worked at different food shelves at other organizations, and saw the need in the suburbs and really being unique and different than, as you had kind of described, most people identify as a needy community. So doing it in a dignified way, is really more important than ever because people have a lot of trepidation about accessing help. Pull into the driveway, drive away. Is this an okay place? So
now, is there an embarrassment factor for some of these folks?
You bet. You bet.
How so?
Many people say, I've been a donor, or I've never used social services before,
Sure.
and they're walking through the door. So how we greet them from the very first moment determines whether or not they're going to stay.
Because you can be going along just fine. You lose your job. Things happen.
You bet. So we hope that, at a minimum, people feel better when they leave. Like you have a talk with your best friend and they kind of pump you up.
Yep.
At a minimum, but obviously we have a lot of tangible resources of food, of clothing, of books in our thrift shop. And we meet with everybody one-on-one. It's about a relationship. We could just put food in the parking lot if it was about getting food out the door. It's about relationships and folks feeling connected to their community and knowing that somebody cares.
So there are volunteer opportunities. Also, always need the resources at the beginning.
Yes, our thrift shop, Shop for Change, is amazing. Open to the public. It's also a program. Best deals you will find in town.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on tonight's show.
You,
Do
Roger.
appreciate it. My pleasure.
Thank you.
My next guest is Anna Marie Sarnen, and she's one of the co-founders of Newborn Foundation. Can you tell us, what is Newborn Foundation, and why did you start it?
Well, Newborn Foundation is a small nonprofit that is based here in Minnesota, but we now work across the United States and in 10 countries. But we started here because of my own daughter's birth almost 10 years ago now, where she was almost discharged home from the hospital nursery in heart failure.
Oh my.
So she had a couple of very critical heart problems, and she looked perfectly healthy. And so our first research project as an organization was to work with her care team to set up a multi-hospital pilot study to find a tool to help diagnose these babies that were otherwise being sent home from the hospital undiagnosed with congenital heart defects.
So they seem like they're healthy, but not so, and probably could be some real dire consequences.
Yeah, very dire consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst is, of course, when they're sent home from the hospital, the parents think everything is fairly normal. Even if there's signs and symptoms, they're not sure what it is, and these babies can be honestly diagnosed by the morgue. Which is the worst possible scenario.
Yes.
But beyond that, they can be sent back to the hospital too late. So they're coming in, they're already in really pretty dire straits. And a lot of these babies, you think about the state of Minnesota, if they're born up in Hibbing, it's really difficult to be near a surgical center like Minneapolis or Mayo Clinic. And some of these babies can barely survive the transport when they do need that critical care.
So you have something called Innovation Incubator. Tell us what that is.
Well, it's, again, started here. So all of the work that Newborn Foundation does is really incubated here with our partners in Minnesota. And then once we sort of find a pathway or a solution to something, and sometimes it's a combination of policy, health policy, and technologies like this pulse oximeter that I have on baby Cora's foot. And that baby Cora's been probably traveled about 250,000 miles with the Newborn Foundation now. So she's been through a lot of airport security and to a lot of hospitals. But we started that work here, and now we're in 10 countries and screening in our research cohort about 250,000 newborns this year, which is kind of remarkable. And our work with the government of China, for instance, 4 years in now, they've just recommended that every baby in their country be screened for heart defects. So they followed suit with what we started in the United States, and now every baby in our country is screened for heart defects. So a baby like my daughter, Eve, won't go home and suffer those consequences. So 25 million babies so far and counting.
That is quite a record. So we're in Minnesota and you're on the global scale. What are some of your other initiatives for the Newborn Foundation?
Sure. So one of the things that we do when we go into hospitals in a resource-poor part of rural China or Mongolia or the Philippines, or even in poor rural parts of the United States, is we sort of look at where the gaps are in care. So oftentimes babies are born at hospitals all over the place, right? But almost always if they're sick, they need to be transported somewhere else. And so we do a lot of referral mapping to help states or regions or even countries figure out how it is that they can better accommodate babies when they're sick and get them from point A to point B safely, or in the case where they don't have enough of those places that can provide even basic like oxygen or an antibiotic, that they're investing in that kind of infrastructure to be able to treat those babies. So that's a really important piece of our work. And one of the other big things we're working on right now is neonatal pneumonia. So helping to earlier diagnose and treat babies with this just really preventable disease and to avoid preventable deaths from something as simple as a respiratory problem.
So people can find you online?
Sure. It's www.newbornfoundation.org. And today's Give to the Max Day.
Oh,
Still
that's right.
for 3 more hours. So,
and I'm guessing funding is maybe one of your big needs.
Oh, sure. We're a largely grant-funded organization, so we've been really fortunate to have some organizations like the Gates Foundation and some Minnesota-based and other organizations fund our work, but we're really looking to grow our individual giving and get more people to be aware of the work we do here in Minnesota and around the world. So you can donate there, or there's a couple of events. We have a gala coming up on February 9th in Minneapolis, and it is always a really, really fun event. I'm a little bit biased, but it's a really fun event. So we'd love for people to come to that too.
Well, it's quite a meaningful project that you have, and I wish you much success with it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and telling us about it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to all our wonderful nonprofits that could join us tonight. We love working with nonprofits. If you'd like more information on how CTV can partner with you, please give us a call. Another special thanks to Lunds and Byerly's for sponsoring the food. CTV also loves to work with local businesses. If your company is interested in sponsorship, please reach out. And thank you to our talent and crew for making this production possible. If you're interested in volunteering, please check out our website for more information. Finally, thank you to you, our viewers. Good night.